Hello and welcome back to Everyday English Talk. I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben. Thanks for joining us today.
Today's episode is a little special. We're looking back at the year 2025 and thinking about the things we've learned, not from school, not from books, but from life.
Yes, a year can change so much. It can change the way we think, the way we work, and the way we see ourselves. Sometimes the smallest moments teach us the biggest lessons.
That's true. Learning doesn't only happen in a classroom. It happens in daily life, in conversations, in mistakes, in successes, even in quiet moments.
And today, we're sharing 10 simple but meaningful lessons we learned this year. Maybe some of these lessons will feel familiar to you too.
Before we start, here's a question for you. What is one thing you learned this year?
Think about your answer, and let's begin our list of lessons from 2025.
My first lesson from 2025 is learning to be more patient. This year, I realized that many things in life take longer than I expect. I used to feel upset when something didn't happen fast, when my plans changed, when my goals were slow, or when I didn't see progress right away. I kept thinking, why is this taking so long?
I feel the same. We live in a world where everything is quick. Fast food, fast internet, fast answers. But real growth is not fast. It takes time, practice, and calm.
Exactly. I started to practice patience in small moments. For example, when I had to wait in a line, instead of feeling stressed, I told myself, it's okay. I can use this moment to rest. When I learned something new, I accepted that I would make mistakes. When plans changed, I didn't panic.
And did it help?
Yes, a lot. I felt lighter, more peaceful. I learned that patience is not just waiting longer. It's choosing not to stress while waiting. It makes life softer and more enjoyable.
That's a beautiful lesson, and something we all need. My big lesson this year is understanding my limits. For many years, I thought I had to do everything, help everyone, accept every project, join every activity. I believed that saying yes made me a better person. But 2025 taught me something important. I am human, and I have limits.
That's such an important discovery. Many people push themselves too hard because they don't want to disappoint others.
Yes, and I became tired, stressed, and sometimes even angry at myself. But this year, I learned to listen to my body and my mind. When I felt exhausted, I rested. When my schedule was full, I said, sorry, I can't do more right now.
How did that feel?
At first, strange, even guilty. But slowly, I realized something powerful. Saying no is not selfish, it is healthy. When I protected my energy, I became more focused, kinder, and more productive.
I love that. Understanding your limits doesn't mean you do less. It means you do the right things with a better state of mind.
Exactly. I learned that limits are not weaknesses. They are signs that I know myself.
My third lesson is about mistakes. In the past, whenever I made a mistake, I felt embarrassed. I thought mistakes meant I was failing. But in 2025, I learned that mistakes are not the opposite of success. They are part of it.
That's true. Mistakes show where we need to grow. They guide us like a teacher.
Exactly. When I started learning a new skill this year, I made mistakes almost every day. At first, I felt frustrated, but then I realized something. Each mistake taught me what I needed to change. Without them, I wouldn't improve.
That's a big mindset shift.
Yes. I stopped fighting mistakes and started accepting them. I told myself, this is part of the process. Everyone makes mistakes. When I thought this way, I felt free. I wasn't afraid to try anymore.
And that made you grow faster?
Much faster. Because when you're not afraid of mistakes, you keep going. You learn more. You enjoy the journey, not just the result.
That's a wonderful lesson for English learners too. Mistakes show progress.
Absolutely. In learning, working, or living, mistakes mean you are moving forward.
Let's look at some useful phrases from today's lesson. These expressions appeared in our conversation and are great for talking about personal growth.
First, take longer than I expect. It means something needs more time than you thought. Example, learning a new skill always takes longer than I expect.
Next, use this moment to rest. It means to relax instead of feeling stressed. Example, when I wait in line, I use this moment to rest.
Another one, listen to my body. It means to notice when you feel tired, stressed, or need a break. Example, when I feel exhausted, I listen to my body and rest.
Here's protect my energy. It means to save your time and strength for what really matters. Example, I say no to extra work so I can protect my energy.
And finally, part of the process. It means something natural that happens while learning or improving. Example, making mistakes is part of the process.
How about you? What is one personal lesson you learned about yourself this year? Was it patience, confidence, understanding your limits?
Take a moment and think about it. We'd love to hear your answer.
My next lesson from 2025 is something many people don't want to hear, but it's true. Consistency matters more than motivation. This year, I noticed that motivation comes and goes like the weather. Some days I feel inspired, some days I don't.
Yes, motivation is like a surprise guest. It visits you sometimes, but it doesn't stay long.
Exactly. So at work, I stopped waiting to feel ready. Instead, I created small routines. Even when I didn't feel motivated, I still did a little bit of work each day. 5 minutes of planning, 10 minutes of reading, 15 minutes of practice.
And did it help?
A lot. My progress became steady. I realized that small, regular actions build much stronger results than big, random bursts of motivation.
I love that. Many people think they need strong motivation to start something, but actually, starting creates motivation.
Yes, when you do something regularly, even a small amount, you begin to trust yourself. You think, I can do this. That trust becomes confidence, and confidence becomes motivation.
So the lesson is, don't wait for motivation. Create consistency. Show up even when you don't feel perfect.
And remember, a little every day is better than a lot once in a while.
My next lesson is connected to consistency. Small habits create big change. This year, I realized that huge goals sometimes feel impossible, but tiny habits feel easy, and they grow over time.
Yes, tiny habits are powerful. What small habit did you start?
I started drinking 1 glass of water every morning. That's it, just one. It sounds simple, even silly, but that one small habit made me feel more awake. And because I felt better, I naturally began drinking more water during the day.
That's a perfect example. One small step opens the door for another.
Exactly. And it works in many parts of life. If you read for 5 minutes a day, you will finish books slowly but surely. If you walk 10 minutes a day, you begin to feel healthier. If you clean just one small area each day, your room becomes tidy over time.
I created a habit too. I wrote only 2 sentences every day. Some days I wrote more, but I never wrote less. After a few months, I had many pages of writing.
That's amazing. People often think change must be big, but big change usually comes from small, repeated actions.
Yes. Small habits are friendly, they don't scare you, they help you grow quietly and comfortably.
And when a habit becomes part of your daily life, you don't need motivation anymore, you simply do it naturally.
My next lesson is one I really needed this year. Rest is not laziness. In the past, I felt guilty when I rested. I thought I needed to work, study, or be productive all the time.
I totally understand. Many people feel guilty when they rest, especially when life is busy.
Yes. But the truth is, when you never rest, you don't work better, you burn out. I learned this the hard way. There were weeks when I was so tired that even simple tasks felt difficult.
Burnout makes everything harder. Your body is tired, your mind is tired, and your emotions feel heavy.
Exactly. So in 2025, I began giving myself real breaks. Not scrolling on my phone, not pretending to rest, but truly resting. Sometimes I took a short walk, sometimes I took a nap, sometimes I just sat quietly.
How did it feel?
Like magic. After resting, I could think clearly again. I worked faster, I felt happier, and I made fewer mistakes. Rest actually made me more productive.
That's a beautiful lesson. Rest is not a reward, rest is a basic need.
Yes, and now I see rest as part of the work. When you combine work with rest, you create balance.
And when you respect your limits, your body and mind truly thank you.
Let's look at some useful phrases from today's lessons. These phrases can help you talk about habits, routines, and rest.
First, show up every day. It means to do something regularly, even when you don't feel motivated. For example, I try to show up every day, even if I only work for 5 minutes.
Next, build a routine. It means to create a simple pattern you follow again and again. 4. Example, I build a routine by reading a little each morning.
Another one, take a small step. It means to do something simple to move forward. For example, when a goal feels big, I take a small step instead.
Here, slow progress still counts. It means that even small improvements are important. For example, I only walked 10 minutes today, but slow progress still counts.
And finally, listen to my limits. It means to notice when you need rest or a break. For example, when I feel tired, I listen to my limits and rest.
What about you? Which lesson feels true for your daily life? Staying consistent, building small habits, or learning to rest?
And why does that lesson matter to you? We'd love to hear your thoughts and your experiences. One of the biggest lessons I learned this year is that communication is more important than being right. In the past, when I had a disagreement with someone, I secretly wanted to win the conversation. I wanted the other person to understand my point of view and admit that I was correct.
I think many people feel that way. We want to protect ourselves, so we try to prove our idea is the best.
Exactly. But this year, something changed. I had a small argument with a friend. We both felt stressed, and we both tried to defend ourselves. But after a while, I noticed we weren't listening to each other at all. We were just waiting to speak again.
Yes, that happens often. We listen to reply, not to understand.
Right. So I decided to stop winning and start listening carefully. When I listened, I understood her feelings better. When I asked questions, she relaxed. And when I said, "I see your point," everything softened.
Sometimes understanding each other is more important than who is right or wrong.
Yes. I learned that communication means helping the other person feel heard. It means staying calm, being open, and speaking kindly. When I changed my approach, our conversation improved, and our friendship became stronger.
That's a beautiful lesson.
Now, when I'm in a disagreement, I focus on connection, not competition. It makes relationships more peaceful and honest.
My next lesson is about people. This year, I learned that some people come into our lives for a short time, and some stay longer. And both are okay. In the past, I felt sad when friendships changed or when people drifted away.
Yes, it can feel confusing. You wonder, did I do something wrong? Or, why did we grow apart?
Exactly. But this year, I realized something important. People change, and life changes too. Sometimes we move to a new place, start a new job, or grow in a different direction. It doesn't mean the relationship was bad. It just means it served its purpose.
That's such a healthy way to see it. Some people teach us kindness, some teach us courage, some teach us confidence. But not all friendships are meant to last forever.
Yes. For example, I became close with someone at work this year. We talked every day, helped each other, and shared ideas. But later, our schedules changed, and we stopped talking as often. At first, I felt disappointed. But then I realized the friendship helped me during that time, and that was enough.
Beautiful. When we let go gently, we feel lighter. Relationships don't always end, sometimes they simply change shape.
Exactly. And when new people come into our lives, we can welcome them without fear. Each connection has its own meaning.
So, the lesson is appreciate people when they are in your life and accept it peacefully when things change.
Yes. Not every relationship needs to last forever to be valuable. Let's look at some useful phrases from today's lessons. These phrases can help you talk about communication and relationships.
First, listen carefully. It means to pay full attention to what someone is saying. For example, when we disagreed, I tried to listen carefully instead of arguing.
Next, I see your point. It means you understand the other person's idea or feeling. For example, when she explained her reason, I said, I see your point.
Another one, stay calm. It means to keep your emotions steady during a conversation. For example, I stayed calm, even when the discussion became difficult.
Here's grow apart. It means to slowly become less close over time. For example, after changing jobs, we didn't talk as much, and we grew apart.
And finally, let go gently. It means to accept change or the end of something in a peaceful way. Example, when the friendship changed, I tried to let go gently.
What about you? Which lesson feels true for your relationships, listening better, communicating calmly, or accepting change?
And why does that lesson matter to you? We'd love to hear your stories and reflections. One important lesson I learned in 2025 is that you don't need to rush. Everyone has their own timing. For many years, I felt pressure to do everything quickly, succeed quickly, learn quickly, make progress quickly. I compared myself to others and thought, I'm behind.
I think many people feel that. We see others moving fast in their careers, relationships, or personal goals, and we feel like we must catch up.
Yes, but this year something changed. I saw friends taking different paths. One friend bought a house, another started a new career, another traveled the world. Meanwhile, I was still figuring out my own direction. At first, I felt slow, but then I realized we all grow at different speeds.
That's a powerful realization. Life is not a race. It's more like a long walk. Some people move fast, some slow, and some change direction completely.
Exactly. When I stopped rushing, I felt calmer. I could focus more on what I needed, not what others expected. I learned to ask myself gentle questions. What feels right for me now? What step fits my life today?
And what changed when you slowed down?
Everything felt lighter. I enjoyed learning more. I appreciated small progress. I didn't feel guilty for taking my time. I understood that my journey is unique, and moving slowly doesn't mean failing. It means growing at my own pace.
That's such a comforting lesson. Everyone blooms at the right time. My final lesson from 2025 is this: progress can be quiet and invisible. Many people believe progress must be big to be real, like getting a promotion, finishing a project, or reaching a major goal. But this year, I learned that some of the most important progress happens silently.
I love that. Can you share an example?
Sure. At work, I used to feel stressed easily. Even small problems made me nervous. But over time, without noticing, I became calmer. I started speaking more slowly, listening more carefully, and solving problems without panic. No one said, "Good job, Ben." But inside, I felt a big change.
That's beautiful. Inner growth is quiet, but powerful.
Yes. And the same thing happened with my habits. I didn't suddenly become organized, but little by little, I learned to plan better. I didn't become extremely confident overnight, but each small success made me a bit stronger.
Quiet progress is easy to miss because it doesn't look dramatic.
Exactly. But if you look back at yourself from 6 months or a year ago, you often realize you've changed in ways you didn't even notice. Maybe you react more calmly. Maybe you take better care of yourself. Maybe you understand your emotions better.
Those changes matter as much as the big achievements, maybe even more.
Yes, now I try to appreciate the small, invisible progress. Even when life feels slow, I remind myself, something inside me is still growing.
What a gentle, hopeful lesson. Quiet progress is real progress.
Let's look at some useful phrases from today's lessons. These phrases can help you talk about timing, growth, and life direction.
First, find my own direction. It means to discover the path that feels right for you. For example, I stopped comparing myself to others and tried to find my own direction.
Next, move at my own pace. It means to grow slowly or quickly based on what feels natural. For example, I learned that it's okay to move at my own pace.
Another one, big change happens slowly. It means important progress often takes time. For example, I realized that big change happens slowly, not in one moment.
Here's inner growth. It means growth that happens inside you, in your thinking, emotions, or confidence. For example, my inner growth was quiet, but I felt stronger over time. Asterisk.
And finally, look back and notice. It means to reflect on the past and see how much you've changed. For example, when I look back and notice, I see that I've grown a lot.
What about you? Which mindset lesson speaks to you more? Moving at your own pace or noticing your quiet progress?
And how has this lesson shown up in your life? We'd love to hear your reflections and experiences. We've come to the end of today's episode, and we hope these 10 lessons from 2025 gave you something meaningful to think about.
Yes. This year taught us that learning doesn't only happen in big moments. It happens in daily life, in small habits, in mistakes, in conversations, and in quiet changes inside ourselves.
We talked about being patient, understanding our limits, and accepting mistakes as part of learning. We also learned that consistency is stronger than motivation, small habits can lead to big change, and real rest is important.
And when it comes to relationships, listening kindly and accepting change can make life feel lighter. Finally, we explored the idea that everyone grows at their own pace, and progress often happens quietly.
Now it's your turn. Think about your own year. What did you learn in 2025? Even one small lesson can help guide your future.
You can share your reflections with us, or write them in your journal. And don't forget to download the free PDF transcript to review.
Thanks for listening to Everyday English Talk.
Take care, and keep learning, step by step.